I believe Ms. Ratner and Ms. Scurvy are joining us virtually tonight. This is the Legislative Action and Community Engagement Committee meeting. It is Wednesday, August 9th. I cannot believe that it is August.
No.
Which,
Don't say it again.
I know, sorry, it's coming. Start of school is coming. But we'll save that for next week. So we're just have a few things on our agenda tonight. The first item on our agenda is the letter writing campaign. And Gail and Kate and I had been going back and forth with each other. I know, Kate, you have a copy, and Chrissy, I know Kate shared it with you. I printed out copies for everybody here. Trying to find different samples of letters and kind of putting them together to figure out what we felt would best meet our needs. So we have a sample letter here that we are hoping could, if we need to modify it, we modify it, and then it's something that we can put up on our website and, you know, have community members get involved in writing to our legislators in hopes of getting us some help.
Can I say,
Sure.
I think we all did a very good job. Sorry, every once in a while, people need a pat on the back to let them know. But I did mention to Kate that I think it should be more condensed. Because when you get something like this at home in the mail, I'm not gonna read this whole thing. I'm gonna put it to the side. I think it should be more condensed and more precise on the actual things that are so important. And everything is important, that's here. Everything that we've written about is so important to this district. But I just think people, legislators, the ones that we need to look at this and actually take it all in, I don't know, maybe we can condense it a little bit more.
Maybe
That's
you-
just my opinion.
If I may?
Sure.
Take your idea and take the verbiage and perhaps almost like a bullet. So the verbiage is correct. So maybe you have 4 lines, it's an opening paragraph,
Yep.
and then you have bullet, 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 because it's quick to the eye, and it's
Exactly.
easy to read.
Something.
So it's the same language that's here,
Yep.
but you take out the prepositions and the articles and all that wordy stuff,
Perfect.
and you just go bang, 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 bang.
Perfect.
Right.
Yeah.
Hello? Can you guys hear me? I'm the person in the mic. This is fun. Okay, so what I was gonna say is when I was sort of collaborating it, you know, sort of taking what you had sent, Gail, and putting it all together, and I used sort of the form that was on our district's website, but then modified it a little bit. I've sort of found that there were 2 different aspects, because there's the facts of, you know, the School Funding Reform Act, which was 2008, as well as, you know, that we get no equalization aid and adequacy and S2, kind of all like the boring stuff, if you will. But then I also felt like it was important to sort of get to like the heart of the matter, like the fact that we have, you know, a significant population of senior citizens that are on a fixed income and taxes are increasing, as well as the fact that we only get $1 million in state aid and that we're having aging facilities. And so I'm not sure how much of that first part is important for our legislators to know that they don't necessarily already know. But I thought that if we were going to cut from something, that might be it, because, you know, while I think it's important for people to know the facts, it doesn't necessarily have to be in every letter. And I think really what, you know, the community is going to look at is, hey, we have these amazing programs and we have these needs in our district, and the legislation at the state needs to do something to fix this problem, because otherwise we're going to have an issue in our district. So that was sort of, but I wanted to put it all there, and then figured we could cut rather than starting small and adding.
Right,
No.
well, maybe you could do what you said, so what you're saying, Ms. Ratner, makes sense. Let's go through the first paragraph, see what's valuable, what's not valuable, like she said, cut, and then condense through the bullet format for the rest of the letter. It's like a resume. You
Yeah.
pick it up, and it's a
Yes.
line, and
Yes.
bang, 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 or someone's writing a highlights, and it's too wordy, it's too much, no one wants to be bothered.
Exactly. People will look at that.
They won't read it.
resume and they'll say, oh, you know, AV, look at this. They
Yeah,
have like
absolutely.
10 reasons, you know, and what are they? And that might draw their attention.
I agree with you.
I agree with you with that, yeah.
So we are in agreement.
So do we want to start
I
with
could
first
just make a
Oh, there's Ms. Kirby, you need to be a little louder, is that
Yeah.
you?
sorry, yes, it's me.
Oh, there you go.
Sorry.
Yes, you're perfect now.
Maybe something to, an idea for the letter as well, in the bullet points, maybe we should start listing, some of the costs for the projects that we need.
I have
for.
them, we have them.
You know, like if we start bulleting out, you know, how much the roof repair is, how much expanding schools would be for, accommodating, the overcrowding and, put some of that facts in there. It may actually be beneficial also for our residents who, download the letter to send to see all of the things that we need the funding for as well. Because this is, the letter is very factual and it's 100% correct. But I feel like it needs to be more in their face of what we actually need the money for and what is, what our struggles are and what we're facing specifically in Monroe from the lack of funding.
Yeah, great idea. That really is exactly what, I mean, the letter, like you said, is factual, and then Ms. Ratner was right. She said a lot of it maybe is redundant. So maybe I like the big zero, always receive $0. I think that's the equalization. I like that. And say, in addition, cost of education, and then we could say, our needs are, colon. And we have it listed. We'll grab the information that we have in the letter that's sent to the mayor, and we that's another
Yeah.
part. I mean, we're still waiting for them to review.
How many bullets were in the information that you sent to the,
I don't have it in front of me.
off your head, you don't remember, like, so 10?
It was a lot, because what we did was we went through the whole thing from the roofing projects to, I mean, we had everything in there, expansions, everything the referendum would have covered, but it doesn't make a difference. Maybe we can make it, subject oriented. So for example, one bullet can be,
I was gonna say, yeah.
safety and like HVAC/roofing, like, you know what I mean? Like come up with
Yes.
almost schematics.
And then
almost
facilities.
Yeah.
Yes,
Here,
exactly.
what's this?
Which is very doable. Well, I mean, I don't know, you guys want to finish it if you want me to work with Mr. Moraldo, like pull it out, like we could come together.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
you
think,
can.
I think that would be great.
Ms. Skirby, I can take the information, and I'm speaking to you directly because you're aware of it, because you actually were, the leadership power and the vice president did go. We are waiting to hear back from the mayor. I asked Ms. Zielinski to reach out again, to find out, and we are adding on there, even if we have got some response, we'll talk about the TV studio. It's a DGNC. So maybe we can do that and have a list. These needs are imperative because of colon.
And that has to be
So-
voted.
Right. So maybe what we do is we split up the letter into two parts, right? The first is, here are the concerns regarding school funding. We receive zero equalization aid. We have received $1,000 per student in the last 15 years. We have only received an increase of, X amount, I can't remember off the top of my head, but this many millions of dollars despite a double enrollment since 2008. And then the second half would be, here are the needs that we're facing, and then have the bullet points for those. Because I do think it's important to really explain, like, well, we have, like it says the aging facilities, but to really say, this is the facility that's aging and this is the need, and give those facts.
Where it says face, so I like this. The Monroe Township School District is facing enormous challenges to include the following.
There you go.
List them out.
Right.
List them out.
So you're taking the bottom half of the first paragraph, all of the second, what Ms. Chandler just said, and list. There it is.
Right.
Right?
And I definitely think it's important for us to list that legislation, the A3578 and S354, just because that's something that we've all been discussing, and really that's the vehicle to get this funding formula changed. And so hopefully as legislators see it, they'll say, okay, this is something I need to look at.
Right.
And we'll go from there.
So there it is, 1, 2, 3, and list.
Right, so you start with concerns. Our
The word
challenges.
concern.
So if you want to change it, run it by, I guess, Ms. Skirby, and then I can put in my bullet
Yeah,
on the bottom.
yeah. we
Yeah, I
can do
think
that.
that's great.
And even though everything is important, I will try to the best of my ability to prioritize the
Condense.
roof, and also prioritize and condense.
Yeah.
So HVAC/roofing slash, because it'll all be one line.
Okay.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Casey,
I'm here, sorry.
Now, do you
do
agree?
you agree?
Yeah, that sounds good. And then, hopefully we can get this in place, if not for next week, hopefully for September, so we can really start getting this out there. And, I think legislators are always more likely to listen in October and November, for obvious reasons. Not to necessarily say that they're going to be able to move on anything, but hopefully they'll be paying attention to what we are saying, if residents are reaching out to them, because, it's important for them, for the residents to know that they're listening to them. So.
And you're up this year for election too.
Yeah.
They might want to take on a challenge of
Mhm.
doing this
And
and
look
saying,
what-
look what I did to help Monroe. You don't know. You don't know what's in people's minds nowadays, so.
Yep.
I like it.
I did want to actually mention something that I found out just when I was sort of collaborating the letter today. And I don't know if this is only applicable to the S2 districts or if there's other districts, but there is actually an advocacy group that's called Support Our Students Advocacy Group. And it's a statewide coalition that's apparently representing 90 school districts that have had issues with funding. If they're districts that had the reduction because of S2, they're not necessarily districts that we'll be able to partner with. I did a quick Google search, even though I wasn't supposed to because I'm technically away, but I looked just to see what it was, and I saw a couple of them that looked like they were S2 districts, but I wasn't able to find like the list of all the districts. So I thought if we wanted to look and see if there's districts on there that might be more aligned with our issues, that might be a good place to look. I'm not really sure who is the leader of this coalition. I do know like Freehold Regional, Toms River are both part of it, but I know that those were both districts that were affected by S2. So I guess that's something we would have to just look into, a little bit more closely. But I had meant to bring it up just when we were discussing this because I had checked
I'll
samples.
look into it tomorrow. I'm not babysitting, so it'll give me something to do. And I'll
Sounds
go
good.
on, get some more information for us, okay?
All right, thanks, Gal.
And I know we said too, we also wanted to make sure that we were spearheading our own
Right.
campaign first, our own letter writing campaign, and start to get some traction, then branch out from there. So that's definitely a good place to start.
Yeah, and I have a list of some of the other
Mhm.
schools too, but I think we had discussed one time, they might have different
Right,
areas
Right.
that we don't, and we don't want to address, like South Brunswick lost money,
Mhm.
and this one, and I mean,
We have to
so,
be careful because we
right.
we don't want to bring to
Careful.
attention somebody maybe who's
Yes.
emotions.
Right, that's why
Right.
we said we wanted to start our own
Exactly.
trail first, and
Yep.
then we'll kind of branch out and see who needs what, where.
And if we approach those districts that I have the information on, they don't want to do it, they want to do it, we'd be glad to share it, but if they, that's,
Right.
we could be obliged, but let's get our campaign
Yeah,
way off
definitely.
way off the line.
All right, awesome. All right, so for next, well, we'll try for next week, but if not for next week, then definitely for September, we will have a hard copy hopefully ready to go.
Sounds good.
So the next item on the agenda is a plan for attending the budget hearing next year. So I know that we had talked about this, pretty sure it was the last meeting, and it was something that we had talked about previously, but we missed our opportunity to go to the budget hearing. Apparently they happened earlier than we had anticipated. So just talking about, is this something that we want to do? Do we want to plan a trip to go there next year? I know, Kate, that was something that you had.
Right.
mentioned.
Yeah. So, looking at the budget hearings and the schedule, if I recall correctly, the hearings for education were mostly in end of April and May. And so I feel like if this, I think we had looked at it at the May meeting and realized that the hearings for the budget, start much earlier than the budget itself. And so I know that this had been done in the past when there was, the Fair Funding Committee. I think it was when Mr. Chiarello was chairing it, under Mrs. Klupanowicz. I can never say it right. But I think that this would be a great way for us to get a group of vested residents. It can be obviously board members and things, but I wonder if we can also collaborate with our council and our mayor at that point. To go down there and, have them hear our voices and have us speak about, sort of the things that we're putting in this letter, but, in a little bit more detail directly to the people who are making the budget. And, I don't think necessarily they're going to be able to change the funding formula based on that. But I think if we maybe just explain to them, here are the crisis that we're facing, I think that is something that we should try at least. I know that other districts have done that as well. And I think that, obviously trying things never hurts. You never know if you'll be successful, but that might be something. I don't know if Ms. Gerby or Stanley, when you guys meet with the town, if we could see if maybe they would be willing to work with us on the cost of the bus or something of that nature. I'm not really sure where the line is there, but I think that it's worth looking at. I'm not sure. I'm assuming they come out with their budget schedule in January or February, so we can keep an eye on that, but we should have an idea of how we want to go forward with it before that, so we can sort of just get it rolling once it happens.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, I think that's a great idea. I think we have to probably, as we move forward with our meetings, with the town and trying to figure out, how we could, partake in more shared services agreement and see how they can help us. As it gets closer to the budget, I think that's the time that we reach out to whoever is our representative. After the November election, we'll know who that is, but I think getting in front of them early with the list of things that we need, because now that we know, that, our representatives can add a resolution into the budget, that goes before the governor, I think if we can get them to back a resolution to, give funding for some of these projects that we're going to need to fix the schools, then at that point, we can, advertise that out there that our legislators are putting, have this resolution before the governor at this budget hearing. And then I know I had looked into it back in the spring. You have to sign up. You have to fill out a form and sign up to actually go and testify at the budget hearings. So we can encourage residents, to go and do that, and definitely ourselves too, whoever from the board wants to do it. And absolutely, if we can get members of the council, and whoever the mayor is at the time to partake in that with us, absolutely. I mean, the more we get in front of the legislators and the governor with, what we need and why we need it, and the struggles that we have with the way it's set up, the more, the more we're going to be heard, and potentially the more money we're going to get. I really didn't realize that we could ask for, Senator Greenstein to put a resolution in the budget for a specific line item to fix Applegarth. If we had known that, I think we would have, capitalized on that and let her know exactly how much we needed for it. So yeah, I'm definitely interested in, us putting out there, information about the budget hearings going forward. I think that's great.
What's the old saying, the squeaky wheel?
Yes, it is.
Yes, okay. So if they keep seeing Monroe in front of them, and Monroe here, and Monroe there,
Get rid
and
of us.
that.
They want to get rid of us.
They'll
Like,
want to,
hey,
they'll
I
want
don't
to
think they
pay
know
all
just
our
how
bills
happy
to
to
get
be
rid of,
yet.
to put us just back. Yes, that's the right term. They'll pay for everything that we request,
Would that be acceptable?
just so they can go on to the next school district. But,
So I guess once that date comes out.
yeah, we have to,
Yeah,
we have to put it in for it.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think I think if we can start conversations now with the mayor and the council.
Well, we can,
and, yeah, and
Ms.
see-
Skirby, and we could bring it up when we get it, as soon as they give us a date to come visit.
Yeah, yeah, and then, just.
Maybe I'll have one by next Wednesday.
We can keep an eye on the calendar too and see when the hearings are, and then again, put that out to the community, and just, anybody who's willing to go, if we are able to get a bus, or however we're able to get anybody down there, yeah.
With Monroe shirts that I was talking about last night.
Yeah.
You know what, board goals, just to go into that, that should be a board goal, is to get community involvement, is to get that out there, that's what we're gonna do.
Mhm.
I mean, you want the community involved more so that they go out for a referendum, go out for a budget. Tell them, we need you. And, when people are needed and wanted, they will come, and we might need 2 buses, you don't know.
Yep.
Or 3.
3, I mean, let's shoot for the moon, I mean, come on, we'll get a whole caravan. But I'm saying, that's a board goal for us, is to actually get back out there to the community.
Well, so then, I think, can we transition to that? Are we?
I was gonna say Gail did that very well, the transition sentence right there.
Thank you very much, I appreciate that.
Mhm.
That's why I said board goals, there it is, right there in black and white.
Yeah, so just happens to be the next item on our agenda.
Right.
And in looking at our goal from last year, I'll just read it so that the public is aware, and then we can talk about it. So our board goal last year was board goal number 4. It says the board is committed to transparency and increasing communications with the community to ensure all stakeholders are informed and their concerns and ideas are acknowledged. The board will achieve this by publicizing and utilizing the proper chain of command set forth by district administration, supporting the use of all appropriate communications, including but not limited to social media. So I know last year that was our big push.
Right.
We set out to put the chain of command out there for the public, so that they had, proper contacts and proper information. And we really dove into social media and getting those platforms up and running so that the community could, see all the things that are happening in our district. So I think now we take more of the legislative turn
Right.
for that and bringing the community in and getting them involved in bringing the good fight with us, with our
Well,
legislators.
in our
so that we can get more
campaign, actually, we could call it some kind of campaign to get the money back to Monroe.
Mhm.
I don't know how
Yeah.
to call it.
Keep
call
our
it
money. Keep the money in Monroe.
so much for else. No, but I mean, it can be a financial campaign and we want to include it. I mean, somebody put an article on Facebook that I actually read about South Brunswick putting a committee together, but for finance. I thought it was a good idea, but I don't think they should, be that much enveloped into finance only. I mean, we need the community here for everything. We have financial issues, we have a lot of other issues, and I think they should not just be involved in one specific thing.
Right. So I think, first of all, I wanted to just say, like, good job to, I guess sort of our committee and the board, and the administration, because, those two goals, we did put that chain of commands out there this year. And honestly, the last, few months, obviously summer is a little bit slower, but even so, there's really just, and I know Mr. Moralda has been spearheading a lot of this, just such a great increase of utilization of Facebook and sharing the things that are going on in the district. So, I definitely want to, give credit where credit's due and say that it's been really nice to see that. I sort of agree with Ms. DePine that now that we've sort of improved the communication that we're giving to the community, we should try to, sort of loop the community in. And I know that when we had, I forget which meeting it was, we had the policy change on the Citizens Advisory Committee, which was something I had never heard of until we had that. And reading it, it just seemed to make a lot of sense that, having the stakeholders from various levels, right? Because we are a very diverse town, available for certain goals. I could sort of see what you're saying, Ms. DePine, about having it for multiple things. I also think that stakeholders are interested in different things, right? So somebody might be really interested in finance type topics, but they may want nothing to do with, I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I'm going to say curriculum, even though they shouldn't be involved in curriculum, but that idea of different interest levels. So I thought that might be something we can look at. The other two things, just really quick, I'll list them and then that way I get them all out. One thing that I saw a lot of other districts when I was sort of seeing what they've done is they're really trying to engage alumni more. And not being an alumni of Monroe, I'm not sure if there is that engagement. Katie, you could probably answer that one. But I think that especially recent alumni who may have, really gotten to experience the good things happening in Monroe, but also seen some of the challenges that we're having with some of the facilities, that might be a nice way to engage. And then the other thing, and I think that, this was briefly brought up last year, but, one thing that I recall hearing, from when the administration had done some of the referendum presentations is that there's not always a huge participation level for some of the parent groups. There might only be a few people there, and I'd really love to figure out more ways to engage our parents to come to the schools, hear what's going on, as well as maybe provide some different lessons for them. I know that one of the districts I looked at has this parent academy where they were teaching different topics such as like time management or proper social media usage. And obviously doing that would then have a cost. I know CPAG had done things in collaboration with the district that are, mostly geared towards special education, which is really important as well. I'm wondering if there are topics like that we maybe some of our in-house staff might be able to teach that would then be things we can sort of turnkey into our community. So those were just some of the things I had thought of when I saw it on the agenda. And yep, that's
Also
everything.
using JSBA to come in if they, we find out is, good or teaches that topic, and list them to come. And your open houses in the beginning of the year,
Back to school night.
is it back to school,
Mhm.
whatever it is? You get all your parents coming to that?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so do it then. Do it then, when you know you've got an attentive audience, make your other things a little bit less that night, so they're not, coming from work and not eating and then have to be there till 10 o'clock. But, tell the speaker to abbreviate, tell your night to abbreviate, and you've got an attentive audience right there at your open house.
Yeah, that's how we usually do it, so for the middle school, one of the things we did was we always invited our liaison from the police department, and that is how we did our safety, cyber safety, and it was always a back to school night because
That's when they come.
kind
So that's what we do. You get that, you call NJSBA, see who can come and speak for us, or like Kate said, maybe there's somebody in-house that can come speak, who's proficient or well-knowledged in certain subjects that we're interested in.
Mhm.
I know Mr. Selby was safety, but you said, Ms. Chandler, that you did safety.
we have a liaison, where we have a fabulous, working relationship with the Monroe Township Police Department,
Okay. so
and we always
that's-
have liaisons, and we have our lead teachers,
Okay.
and they came in and we had, presentations done every year, and I want to say, I have to confirm with Dr. Higgins, the middle school, Dr. Higgins, that they still do it. So it gives an opportunity for the cyber safety,
Mhm.
social, the concerns with, social, and what we do is, if I'm not mistaken, I'm trying to remember, because it's been a little bit of a while, I believe we do it at the very end when the children come back to join the parents, because we
did
want
at
kids
the-
there.
I'm pretty sure that we saw that there was a lead portion during orientation.
Orientation,
Maybe it's
yeah,
orientation,
not back to school
that-
night.
The kids were not in there yet.
Did
So
they-
But
there
the
was
children,
something for
the children
parents.
come to the open house
Yes.
in the elementaries, really?
Well, I can't know, let me say, the middle school, we encourage it, we want the
Really?
children there.
Okay.
I know everybody's different, and I believe this year,
Back to school night, Mrs. Chandler? I don't
Yes.
recall the students coming to back to school night. Back to school night, if you want to do something like this, I would have some other type of evening.
Right.
Yes.
Maybe during, maybe you have a
you know what, maybe
performance of somebody,
maybe
but
orientation. I do know at the middle school, we do not in any way say that children can't come, we don't do that. Because that's a big thing.
No, because you
no,
have parents.
but the back to school night is, I mean, just from
Yeah.
being in the middle school and the high school, the back to school night is you're running from class to class. You have
Right.
4 minutes in each
Mhm.
class, and I mean it's a long night. And
Mhm.
to be honest, I'm going to be 100% honest. I don't think parents would go through the back to school night and then go to the pack to hear some type of presentation.
I do think, you're absolutely right, it was orientation, I stand corrected, but I do think that I used to do a big presentation in the beginning, and then I got away
Yes.
from that, I was there but Dr. Higgins, I already spoke with him this year, and maybe because he's a newer principal, is doing a presentation in the beginning, and then they're going to do the schedule. So the high school is not, you're absolutely right, Dr. Higgins is just having them all go to the classes. So only the middle school, to my knowledge, right now, the elementary does something different, but the middle school is he's opening up with his remarks in the pack this year. He did it last year, he's doing it this year. And I think because he's a newer principal.
Right. I mean,
I got old, no one wants to hear me anymore. I'm old, you know what I mean? Like, I've been here, it's the same thing every year. So I stopped doing it. I went to the high school, although Kevin, Dr. Higgins and I both changed it. So you're absolutely right. So I agree too. And parents are excited. They don't want to hear us. They don't want to hear anybody. They want to meet the kids, the parents, the teachers. They're excited.
So I'm just wondering though, if this would also be a great discussion to have when Mr. Moralda is here, because I
told him he
feel
didn't
like
have
a
to come,
survey.
and I told him he didn't have to
No, that's okay.
for me,
I'm feeling like this could be almost like a survey type of question for parents, like,
Mhm.
Because
Okay.
what areas would you like to receive more information on? Is
what presentation would you sit through, what,
like, kind of take it from there. That way we're kind of gauging feedback from the community. If everybody's like, no, we're good, we don't need any of this, then it's not something that we have to really spend much time on. But if we get responses and you see like an overwhelming, response, for, however many options we give, then I think that's where we kind of take that, and run with it, if that makes sense.
So,
Yeah.
And I think an idea for the board goal, being that it's legislative action, I think our goal as a committee and as a board should be to stay abreast of pending education litigation or legislation. And, you know, unfortunately, I did not realize that there was a rather large State Board of Education meeting that took place, and I didn't know what was on the agenda, and I didn't realize that the public could participate in that and have a voice. So I think we have to better look at, and as a board, you know, and maybe specifically for this committee, really stay on top of what the State Board of Education is putting forth in their agendas each, you know, when they meet, and how it pertains to us. And do we want to, as a board, put together a statement or a stance on something that they have on their agenda, as well as the pending litigation, and, you know, what's coming up, and how do we as a board want to craft a statement possibly, and have more of an impact of, you know, a lot of the education legislation that's being passed, because there's a lot of controversy around some of the stuff that's been going on. And I know we haven't really discussed it much at our meetings or as a board. Nothing has really changed in our day-to-day practices and curriculum with the stuff that's been changing, but we do really need to stay on top of that and discuss it as a board when they're going to be making these changes, and see if we want to get involved in any of that and testify at any of these meetings that they have. So I think that is a really important goal, to really stay ahead of what's going on in the legislature and with the State Board of Education, and also continuing to push for the fair funding and engage the community through, you know, one of the bullet points could be through this new letter writing campaign, and you know, getting the community involved in coming down to Trenton and getting involved in the budget hearing testimonies. I think those are two big goals that, you know, we should focus on, especially with this committee.
Right.
I
I
think
almost,
Kate said one time that, well, Kate's the head of legislation for, she's our rep for the NJSBA, but she's also with Middlesex County too. And you wanted to, I know, Kate, you want to put a resolution up for the next meeting. So we've got to work on that, to put a resolution up that'll make us stand out too, that the other districts will see, well, look what Monroe, you know, I'm saying, we just have to keep, like Chris said, getting ourselves out there. But you can go, Middlesex County Board of Ed said, anybody from Middlesex County can attend a legislative meeting. None
right.
of those
So,
meetings, anybody is banned from them. You're allowed to go to any of them. So,
I think that there's two aspects to this, right? Because there's the New Jersey School Board Association side, which you know, we're pretty involved with. But then there's also the Department of Education side, and the State Board of Education, and the legislator. And I think and I don't want to speak for Ms. Skirby, but the State Board of Education, they have meetings that are totally separate from NJSBA. And I think that, you know, one thing I would really like to see, we obviously can't tell the legislature what to do, but NJSBA gives us these digests of all the different meetings and committees and stuff that are coming up. I don't know if the state has that. That might be something, as, you know, if we make this a goal, we can look into to see, and then sort of include that as things that we're looking for. You know, as being on the NJSBA legislative committee, what I might do also is just, you know, reach out to the head of that committee. I know Carl Tanksley is on there, and there's a couple of others, to see, hey, do you guys have a list of the important meetings that take place at the state level that aren't necessarily things that they're running, but just to see if that way we can be kept abreast of when these things are coming up. Because I do feel like sometimes these meetings are more reactive than proactive. Like, we hear what's happened at the meetings as opposed to being told these meetings are coming up. And so, Gail, I don't know if that's something at the Middlesex executive board meetings you might be able to bring up, that, you know, if you can give us advance notice of when the state is having meetings, that might be something helpful for board members to have. But in the meantime, I think that would be certainly a good goal that Ms. Kirby had mentioned, about sort of keeping track of when things are happening at this, you know, the State Board of Education and Department of Education and things of that nature.
okay, I'll give an email out to the group for Middlesex.
Right.
Okay, so let's go back to then the talk about legislation, because I know that was another, that's kind of what we've been talking about already. That was your nice segue, Gail. So, what do you want that to look like as a goal?
Resolution? Or
No,
goal?
no,
Oh,
as a
goal,
goal, as a
okay.
goal. Because you want to have a goal and then you want a way to measure it. So how
Right,
are we going to
yes.
do that?
Could be attendance, could be response, could be a survey.
Mhm.
I wonder if we could put out a survey about them joining us on, the trip, the letter writing, like make one survey that has the components of what this committee is trying to do by getting the committee, which links to your first goal.
Mhm.
Actually, it's the
Yeah.
second goal links to the
Yeah.
first goal. I don't know what,
Yeah.
I would need some, Mr. Moraldo would kind of.
Yeah.
They're
Get
all
the nuts
linked,
and bolts,
they're all
that's-
linked together, all three of them.
And that's
So
like-
you're right, it should be,
Mhm.
like the chairman said, bulleted, and make sure that, everybody knows what we're
Reader
into.
friendly,
Excuse me?
reader friendly.
Reader friendly, yes.
Mhm.
You know, reading resumes all the time, you're looking for bullets that stand out, and your one or
The
two,
paragraphs do not
your
work.
one
for
or
me.
two, that's right, one or two top bullets are your big ones.
Mhm.
So you know that,
That's
so,
all I do right now these days.
that's right.
That time of year. So then as far as the board goal, I think, Chrissy, we had the discussion and then you wrote the board goals, right? And then we talked about them at the board meeting? Or do you want us to write?
Yeah,
them?
that's what I did that's what I did last year. If you want me to take a stab at it based on what we talked about and send it to the committee, and then we could present it, to the board.
Okay.
Okay, fine.
I mean, I would say like we have like the two main goals, right? So the first is continue to improve community engagement by, and then we sort of list the things that we discussed. And then the second could be continue to advocate for our school district at the state level by, and then attendance at meetings, collaboration in attending budget hearings, things of that, participating in letter writing campaign. And then we can sort of go from there to tweak
Yeah,
it, but
various state.
Right, it takes in both legislative and community.
Mhm.
If what's Kate just said,
Mhm.
you're taking in both of the,
And you could even put in there, how it would be measured by a survey would be provided, and it could be one survey with two simple questions.
Yep.
Would you attend?
Mhm.
And you could even say attachments on the letter,
Mhm.
also found on the website,
Mhm.
like in other words, really get it out there
Mhm.
and say, would you complete the letter and send it type of thing.
so would you put that survey on our website and let everybody know that? Would you
Yeah,
mail it
it
to
could be
the
a
town? How would you do,
We could do a blast,
Do an
that's
email
Mr. Moraldo's thing and he'll do it perfectly.
Mhm.
Yeah, I know, I miss seeing him over there. I think we should dedicate that chair to him and put his name on the back. But, yeah, I think we need to have the survey both ways. I really think,
Well, when you
Some of
put something out there for information, there is no reason why you can't do it both ways. It's just a
Yeah.
matter of, you have to just be, and I don't, this is his area of expertise, but you have to be cognizant of how you get the information.
Mhm.
right,
Because we don't want people doing it twice because then it's not
Yeah.
valid. I mean, no, we
Yep.
want people doing it,
Yep.
write the letter 5 times. We don't
Yep.
need a letter.
exactly.
We don't want people answering our survey
Exactly.
twice.
Well, you
but
want
write the letter
everybody in
10
the
times.
household, because I remember during the referendum, I did not get any information that was sent out. I got it from Rossmore. Rossmore sent out to their,
Because we don't
all the
have,
people.
that's where they have to do it, because we all have access to what we have access to, and what we don't have access to, we rely upon the email addresses to go from those.
For the adults,
That's
yeah,
correct.
okay,
Anybody
so
we have an access
so
to,
then
we have
there
an
you go.
access, it's
Then
fine.
we've got to get out
We
to
don't
them
have,
to get it sent out to the, and a lot of them don't have email, so a lot of it's gonna have to be
Yeah.
snail mail. But even they would appreciate a letter. Okay, well, they took the time to mail me something.
We also put it out, so for those people that we didn't have that access to, and Ms. Kirby, you can remind me the places. We had it in the police station, we had it in the library, we had it in the senior center. I think we put in some firehouses. I don't remember, I don't want to say the wrong place, but I don't remember exactly. But didn't we have it everywhere, Ms. Kirby? When we went out?
The information for the referendum?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had it in whatever public buildings that the township allowed us to put
We
it
asked them
in.
to disseminate it, because they're allowed.
And I know some of the seniors, places have their own stations, so it can be put, honestly, I don't watch it because it's one of those
Yeah.
things that keep going around for 25 minutes until you find what you wanted, and then you might have had to leave the room and you missed it. So then you gotta watch the whole thing again, so.
Yeah.
I think a big positive that came out of what we did for the referendum last year was that the township did give the district a list of all of the representatives from each of the adult community associations, I think. And we have a nice list now that I know Mr. Moraldo and Mrs. Shanley have used to contact them even post-referendum to share information out. So getting that, I think was a huge step in the right direction of making sure that when we send things out, we include those communities and hopefully they pass that along. And it sounds like at Rossmore they did. So that's good news to know that it got to the residents.
Yes.
And I think, that's, while the referendum failed, I think that's a positive that came out of it, that we've gained more accessibility to getting our information out to the community outside of just the school community, into our adult communities as well. And the township has been, gracious enough whenever we need to let us send an email to them, and then they blast it out to their email list, their broader list of the entire community. But again, like you said, Gail, it's only, we can only provide so much and do so much. So we, even the township, they can only send out the emails to those that have signed up to receive their emails. So we can continue to put something out, on our website, or, any communications. I mean, maybe we even put it up on the digital boards as we go by, if you like more information, check out our website and sign up for, emails or whatever, just to push people to go to our website, or figure out how they can sign up to get emails from the district. Because I know,
And
Mrs. Stanley, you send out the Falcon Talons.
we're gonna look to revamp that, but I will tell you, I agree with you 100%. And one of the things that provides evidence that this was, yes, it did fail, but there was positive to it. I've gotten phone calls now in my office to my secretary asking me to come and speak at some of their annual meetings, about what's going on in schools, because they felt that connection when we went. And maybe, Ms. Ratner, Ms. Skirby, because I know you're not here, so I have to say their names to make them feel like they're here, make me feel like they're here. Maybe it becomes this, kindly note, maybe I go out again and I say, look what we're doing. A survey went out, the letter has been provided, this is what we're doing. Maybe we do that again. Maybe anybody who wants to welcome us, because I've been welcomed. One of them is one we're closed, unfortunately, for the week. But how great is that now we have people, and I know it's the same thing with the League of Women Voters, because I know that Dr. Lehman and Mr. Morales went out with Dr. Lehman's supervisors, the same thing. So we're almost being invited and welcomed into the environments where maybe we didn't have that same relationship. So from there came good.
You know who really wants more information always about the school district is Monroe Village.
Oh, they were great when we were.
And I spoke to a couple people there that night, and actually their spouses taught in North Brunswick, and I remember them. Their husbands came out, the spouses were at another meeting that they were, the head of the bake sale and stuff, and he was telling me everything. But they really wanted to know, because they said, we have chemists here, we have engineers that are retired here, we have this here, we have that here, and there's a lot we can, give to our, and they seem like that would be a good starting place, would be them.
Yeah.
They were very.
I also wonder if there, and this may have already been done, but I think two other really big township entities are the senior center, and the library. And I know that, they've said before, like, you may be on the library mailing list, but not the township mailing list. And so I don't know if I know we have, a great collaboration with the library, and we may have with the senior center as well. But maybe we can share the link, or they can share our link, I should say. If you would like information from the school district, here's the link, because I know they do a monthly newsletter as well. And I know the senior center does also. Just other ways to get it out there.
The library does a fabulous job, and Dr. Roselle has an unbelievable relationship with them, and that would be fantastic too. And I know that we utilize them as a hub, even this is going past referendums, dating myself. From the other referendums, we used to have the boards all set up when you walked into the library, right to the front door. They are a great hub. They really are.
The senior center, I'm on the commission for aging, and I have to call, not that I'm in that category, I'm on it. I'll have to speak to Nancy, who's now the new director over there, about something else
That'd be great.
E.L. Schneider and I talked about getting entertainment for the seniors for the holiday. And I know Linda Bazowski has used him to bring people to Rossmore. And that's why you're getting reception from Rossmore, because the kids come down and they love it. And they love all the entertainment, so, I know he's gonna get in touch with Linda, and I'm gonna get in touch with
That'd be
Nancy.
great. So
to
maybe
see-
it's gonna be another topic of conversation.
Right, yes, and I'm gonna mention to her that, you know, can we do this through your senior newspaper? Our first meeting in September, but I'll call her beforehand.
Okay.
Yeah, I think this is great, and I know I've said this before, and I'll say it again, I feel like the more buy-in that we can get from the community in any aspect, is only going to benefit us, whenever we need something or try to do something, I think that's great.
Gail, one thing that if you're talking to them about this, that I thought was always this great collaboration that my grandparents, you know, may they rest in peace, who, when they lived in Clearbrook about 20 years ago, before, you know, I was even really in this area, or maybe it was 15, but they had mentioned the senior prom, and that was like seniors at the high school with the senior citizens from the town. And honestly, they were so excited about the schools. Like, I had just started teaching at that time, and I remember them just telling me, like, you should hear about what they're doing in Monroe. We got to hear it from the students, this and that. And so I don't know because this was such a long time, I don't even know how that came to be and who was organizing it. But
Actually, we've had it earlier than that. You're absolutely right. I don't remember when it stopped, but I want to say they even had it up to 10 years ago. I'm trying to remember.
Did you have it here or over at the senior center?
Right here. There was no.
Yeah.
Oh,
Right. I remember because like they were talking, my grandparents who were not like big music people, they're like, you should hear about this Marasco Center they have where they do concerts. And it was really cute. And like my grandma wore her square dancing skirt and all of that.
it's
So,
crazy.
but that just might be another way, you know, granted, if there's a huge cost, it would, you know, I don't know if that's something we can really foot the bill for, but just to, if there's a way to bring them in, you know, that collaboration and just giving them a good experience, right? Like that attraction marketing kind of thing. That might be something really enjoyable to do.
Yeah, one of the things the high school does do, it's called senior versus seniors. So they had a day where some of the seniors of the senior class got together, and then they went with the seniors from the senior communities and they played games against each other. So I don't know if that is something
That's
that
cool.
took place instead of the senior prom, but it was called seniors versus seniors, and
Right.
it seemed to be a great thing this year. I know it was in the yearbook that came out.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even something, you know, and obviously you can't force any teachers to do anything, but you know, something that I think would be really great is like a seniors pen pal type thing, right? Where if you've got elementary kids who want to write letters to the seniors, you know, if you get seniors that might be interested, you know, it improves their writing skills, and you know, like they get to get mail, and you know, just ways to sort of engage the community. Just thinking along those lines. I know we sort of strayed a little off topic, but I guess
Yeah,
just like overall goals of engaging the community.
Topic,
speaking from experience.
it's more bullets that we have to think about with families.
Speaking from
I don't
experience,
know if she's were bullets.
and that's like a school level thing, so like in the school that I teach at, each grade level is assigned like a community service project, and one of the grade
Okay.
levels is a community service project
Grand.
called Grand Friends.
Oh,
So
that's
they are
great.
pen pals with, you know, some seniors, and they, you know, write letters back and forth, they take one trip there a year, they do special like things for Valentine's Day and things like that, but it is definitely something that I know both the kids love, the teachers love it, because we just think it's adorable, and the seniors love it too.
Ooh, a grand gram instead of a Valentine's.
Oh, I like that. That's really
like
good.
Right.
That's really good. Yeah.
Now, since COVID though, I know you weren't allowed to go in, like, can read.
No, we didn't.
Kids, so what about some kind of grandparent read thing?
They do have, I think.
We have
some
the
of
rave readers, yeah.
Yes.
I don't
Yeah.
think I never heard of it here, so
Yes.
that's something that.
Yeah.
We have that.
We have that
It's
already.
more-
But it
I
has
think
to be
it's-
asked for. I never heard of it.
Right.
So, I mean, I went to my son's school because my daughter's a teacher. And I sat in on, I forgot what week they do in East Brunswick
Read
compared
Across
to.
America.
Read Across
Read
America.
Across America, and it was a
Not
different one.
his birthday.
Yeah, I read in New Brunswick and then I read in East
We did it
Brunswick.
yesterday.
And, you know, it was really, and I read in Howell. So I was between East Brunswick, Howell, and New Brunswick in 2 days. And.
Yeah, I don't know, is that something through maybe Dr. Roselle with the library? Because I know we have the rave readers that used to, would come
Yeah,
into.
we
the
do
elementary
rave
schools.
readers, we have Read Across America, I know we have grandparents come in and do
Right.
reading. I mean, we could easily get a list just so that we could know, and then maybe we could reiterate that list through Mr. Maralder and the
I would love
communication, we'll see it out. And, we really are starting to look at our website again. And, we did bring that Sprout Social to see, and thank you. There was a gnat flying around our face. So, I think I think maybe what you said, Gail, is very true. We do a lot of these things already, but we need to make sure everybody knows.
That's right, because I didn't know it, and, I did
Yeah.
in Russia, I did in East Brunswick, but not here, and North.
Right. Like I can speak from, like my kids, they had the mystery readers in their classroom and like the grandparents could sign up as mystery readers, but it was like sort of like what Katie had mentioned with the pen pals, it was more through the teacher. But if we wanted to maybe make this a bigger thing, then, like I think Ms. Shanley had said, we can, see, like put something out, a feeler, like if you're interested in reading to a class, like let us know and maybe try to work something out. Just to get that going.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think
Yeah.
that I don't know if it's through Dr. Roselle that's doing it or through the library, but the schools had programs in place with rave readers. Now, I don't know if they've come back since COVID or not. But if Mrs. Shanley wants to look into that and see where that program is, that we definitely had that in Monroe for years and years, I know, because the kids would, the kids would get excited because I think it was once a week, maybe that the rave reader came in. And yeah, they loved it. And it was different. They had different readers in different classes. And they got to know the kids and they loved it. I mean, the kids loved them coming in and they became almost a fixture in the classroom. So, but again, I know a lot of things stopped during COVID. I'm not sure if that all came back. So, I mean, maybe that's something that we could ask to have, looked into, but I think that I'm not sure what area that comes out of. I would assume maybe Dr. Roselle's area.
Yeah, I think Dr. Lehman can comment.
Yeah, it was something that the library, they, I guess, solicited and gathered all the information for the community members that wanted to read. And then each of the schools had contact through Dr. Roselle and through the principals and things. The teachers signed up to have those readers come into their
Oh,
classroom.
that's
So,
great,
Yeah.
that has to be done again.
yep, so.
Maybe like we said, we are doing all of these things. Ms. Kirby remembers them, we need to let the world know.
That's
Not the
exactly
world,
right.
the Monroe world. Yes, our world,
Our world,
our world,
the Falcon world.
Falcon world.
All right, so I know there's nothing else on the agenda. I don't know if there was anything else. I know we had talked about the resolution, but Kate wasn't sure if she was gonna be able to hop on tonight, so I don't know if we, I know, she, so. If,
I can't resist, what can I say?
I think that's also something, again, too, that we can talk about while
Yeah.
we're writing the letter. We can talk about it as a committee, and then we'll bring it forth back to the meeting next month and then share it out. That way you can go
When is
enjoy
the
the rest of your
resolution?
vacation.
When is the resolution, resolution,
November.
is that October? November?
We think.
Yeah. Maybe I'll email them just to confirm. I had looked after our last meeting to see if the dates were on the NJSBA website and they weren't at that moment. They may, now that the dates are out for next year, maybe it's there, but that's something I can ask and find out when the deadline is for us to submit it. My guess it would be the end of September, early October, if the assembly is in November. But-
Yeah.
Kate, if you don't get an answer, call me, because I know somebody there that that's a friend of mine, and I can maybe pick his brain and see if he can get me the information.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Great,
Have a
thank
good
you.
night.